First guest is someone who I don't even know how I've never interviewed her up until this point. So humbled and so honored to have her on my show this evening. Now, a few weeks ago, an announcement was made after the president made good on his promise to artists by ordering the Sports, Culture and Heritage Ministry to release 100 million Kenya shillings to cushion Kenyan artists, actors and musicians during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the persons who can access the fund for resources are classified under sports organizations, professional sports persons or government implementing agencies. So to help us understand and to just break it down for us, we've got CS Amina Mohammed, the Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Culture and Heritage with us tonight. Good evening, CS.
Good evening, Amina.
Hi.
Oh, very nice.
How have you been?
You should have just said good evening, Amina.
I know. I feel like I'm talking to myself. I'm like, hello. So I just want to start this, CS, by just telling you, I don't know. People always confuse me with you, so I get a lot of requests as Amina Mohammed. If there are perks, if they want to invite me like for food, I say yes. I just want you to know.
Yes. How could I ever do that? You are so much more beautiful, much more talented than I could ever be.
Oh my God. So I want you to look at the camera. I want you to look at the camera as we pick up the feed. There you go. So you look straight at me. There you go. Yeah. As we pick up the feed. And the other thing that I tell people, CS, I just felt like I should get it out of the way. If you ever get a call and someone says, "Tuko hapa na Amina," just know it's me. I said you're my mom. So just go with the flow. Go with the flow. Happy Mother's Day.
Well, I've been told that. I've been told that. So yeah.
Oh, you have?
It's an honor.
I tell everybody, oh my gosh, I didn't know, But happy Mother's Day. This past weekend, was Mother's Day, and I wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day. I have some questions I want us to start with. They're very simple. The first one being, what is the most underrated part of motherhood?
I think it's the work, Amina.
Yeah.
The work. Just the amount of work it takes to raise a child. I don't know whether anybody understands just how much we do.
Yeah.
Raise that child from the day they're born to the day, like yourself, they get married and have children of their own. It's a long journey. It's a beautiful journey. It's a very loving journey, but it's also a lot of hard work. Yes. So I think it's the work that is really underrated.
What book that you ever read swallowed your heart and soul? Swallowed your heart and soul, rather.
Two. I think the one book that everybody is talking about today, Becoming by Michelle Obama. I think that's an amazing book that tells her own story, which is a very unique, powerful, but also ordinary story. Yeah. Apart from the fact that, at the end of the story, she ends up in the White House. But the rest of it is things that, we can relate to, we can understand. The other book is by Thomas Friedman. It says the world is flat. It's about basically it's about economics. Yeah. And it talks about So those are the two books that I enjoyed the most, I think, in recent times, because there are many other books, obviously.
Of course, there's so many, but if you have to choose, those are the ones that you choose. Becoming is actually a very, very big book. Both very good choices. All right, so now we only know about you from what we see in the news, but what 3 words can you use that you feel best describe you?
I'm very practical. I'm very passionate, and some people say that to a fault, I'm very dedicated to anything that I do. And yes, maybe I'm a bit modest as well. Yeah. That's something that comes through.
Yes.
So those are I think the words that describe me the best.
I feel like people can see the passion. That one they can see. All right. So what is the biggest lesson that life has taught you thus far?
Well, that one should never give up. Yeah, one should never give up, and that our life has many ups and downs, and you should always deal with the downs, enjoy the ups, and keep moving on.
So if we could talk music a bit, Madam CS, I want to talk about an 80s jam that brings you so much joy and nostalgia. Which song is that? Any 80s jam.
You know, celebration.
Celebrate good times. Come on, that one?
There you go. There you go. Yeah. It's about good life, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really big.
It's about enjoying. Yes, enjoying being alive. Yeah.
It's a very heavy song. All right. So now, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Well, basically that life is not a straight line. That occasionally you will fall down, and that you need to get up, dust yourself, and just keep moving on. Because actually, if you don't learn those lessons when you fall down, then you'll never be a fully rounded person. Yeah, you'd never understand what others go through.
Yeah,
you'd never understand the challenges and weaknesses that people have. And for you to be a fully rounded person, you'll have to, fall down sometimes and be able to have the ability to take that in your stride, get up, dust yourself, and move on as if nothing happened, but having taken the lesson, right, of the fall that you had.
Yeah.
So basically, again, the same thing. Never give up. Life is quite complicated.
Yes.
There's a lot of fantastic goods, but there are also downtimes, and you should expect them and deal with them and move on. Right? Don't make that become an albatross around your neck.
Yeah.
Roll with the challenges that you face. Yeah. But the thing is that one has to continuously move. As you move, you transform. Yes. You get better at things, right? You get experience, you get expertise. Yeah. Like you have done, Amina, over the years.
Oh, thank you, Madam CS. And you can imagine, if we're speaking about how challenging things can be for, as you become a teen and you start working, no one can ever prepare you for life in the public eye. It's something you have to get into it, and then now you witness it for yourself. So for you, Madam CS, I want to know, what are the biggest adjustments you've had to make since living, in the public eye?
Well, I think I think for me the biggest challenge was always being judged, right? Without those judging me actually having the full information or having done some inquiry. Yeah, I actually wish that people would just ask before jumping to conclusions. I believe that life should not be that complicated where you're always on guard about what people are saying about you.
Yeah.
It's also much more difficult, I think, for women, right?
Yes.
Than it is for the male gender.
Yes.
I think because there are not so many of us in public life. Yeah. And so we are almost an anomaly. Okay. So you're just continuously being judged, and the standards that are being used are totally different from the standards that are used to judge men.
Yes.
It's okay if a man makes a certain mistake. It's okay. He's a man, it's fine. When it's a woman, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole roof is coming down. The world is falling apart.
Yes,
that's so how could she do that? In fact, she should not be in this space at all.
At all.
She should be moved out of that space.
Yeah.
Because she's made a mistake that would destroy the world.
Yes.
So I think we need to get away from that. I think everybody has to get used to the fact that women are going to be there, that women are the majority of populations around the world, and that if you are not a woman, then obviously you are born by a woman, and you better accept that and deal with it.
Yeah.
But we are not going to be pushed out of our space.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be accepted, right? We are there. We're a fact of life. And in fact, I always, in bringing up my sons, I remind them all the time that they are no better than my daughters, that they're exactly the same. In fact, I believe that my daughters do much more than they do. Yes. And so I'm always tasking them, and giving them, tasks that they need to do. So I think just the realization that women are going to be here, that they're not going anywhere, that this is their home and place as much as anybody else's.
Yes.
And that you can't be pushed out of that space.
I love that. I feel like clapping.
Right? And everybody else, has to deal with it. Everybody else has to deal with it.
Just accept we are here.
At the end of the day, I think it is a burden that is not a woman's burden. It's the men's burden, right? To understand that there's an issue, that they have a problem that they must address.
Right?
I
love that so much.
That they have an issue that they must deal with.
Yes.
And that is knowing that they will have women colleagues, they will have women bosses, they have mothers, they have sisters, they have daughters, and all women should be treated with dignity, with a lot of compassion as well, a lot of empathy, but mostly dignity, and allowed to the space to actually realize their potential. Yes. Because women have potential as much as men do. And so, I mean, that should not be taken for granted.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, as you was just speaking, I was like, oh my God, does she know me? You know, so a lot of these things, you know, women encounter them at different levels and stages in their lives. And, you know, for our viewers and for, you know, generally just Kenyans, they may never really know the politics that goes behind politics itself. And, you know, for you, as you continue to break the glass ceilings, to, you know, just break all these social norms and continue to thrive in a male-dominated field, what exactly keeps you going? Because there are times that people could see that there are a lot of stories, there are a lot of headlines. How do you wake up the next day and you say, you know what, I'm going to still keep, you know, pushing on, even though I trended the whole weekend and people had a lot to say?
You know, I think a belief in what I do, a conviction that I'm in the right place, and that I need to make my own contribution, right, to the development of my country. The love that I have for my country, you know, the utter respect that I have for my countrymen and women, and belief that I have in our values and our traditions. I think that's what really it keeps me going. But more importantly than that, I think just the need to make sure that at the end of the day, we live a world that is much, much better for our children than the one we found. So put the systems and structures in place that will support, you know, their growth, right, in our country and beyond, because we really have to prepare them for a very complex world. And set examples for them, right, and show them how it's done, and that it's not done it's done with a lot of patience, right, that it's a lot of understanding, a lot of hard work, and that without hard work you'll not get anywhere. So basically all those convictions that I have, right, convictions in doing good, in affecting more people, right, in the right way, then I think is even practical because of the, you know, the time that we have here on this earth. But basically that, leave a better place than you found. And hope that people will appreciate that, and that they will continue improving and making it much better than when you left.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking about making things better, I can see that you're, of course, taking a lot of steps and making efforts to ensure that the ministry is left better than you found it. And now, you know, as we talk about this stimulus package, everyone has started a music career now. They're hoping they're going to get something. I see my DJ, also DJ E, is now releasing music. He's hoping he's going to get this package. Now, Madam CS, many people still do not understand what the government's 100 million stimulus package was announced, you know, what it's about and what it means. And maybe we can, you know, start the conversation by breaking it down and you telling us what the fund is about.
Okay, so I'll start off with the reason why the fund exists. Yeah? I think there's a realization across the world, because I also attended a meeting of ministers of culture, ministers of culture at UNESCO. It was a virtual meeting, and we realized that we were all addressing the same issue, that the space of culture had completely been taken up by COVID-19, that our artists had actually no space within which to perform, that the social distancing, the staying at home, and everything that we need to do, right, to deal with this pandemic affects artists, right? In fact, you know, just the whole sector, right, disproportionately.
Yes.
And that there's need to realize that and to come to the support of those that continuously make our lives much richer, much better, more fun, more enjoyable. And so we were very, very grateful when His Excellency the President then came up with the 100 million stimulus package.
Yeah.
The package is supposed to address artists in distress. If you are not in distress, please don't even bother applying. We want to make sure that it's those ones who cannot afford their basic needs that get supported.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, all upcoming and professional artists or artistic groups that have theatrical works which fit the theme of the containment of COVID-19, but also on themes that just surround our social space, that address some of the challenges that we face, and that provide solutions to those challenges. Of course, if it has material that is not acceptable to the majority of people, then that will not be considered. But also all artistic groups that have production centered around social issues, right? As I said, so artists whose income and survival, and I think that is really key. We don't want anybody applying that can survive without this package, right? They should not have any other full-time job or source of income.
Yeah.
Except, of course, for the professional artists that we are going to use for quality assurance, right? Because we need somebody to quality assure the work that we'll be putting out there.
Yes.
For radio theater shows, groups will be required to send at least a 3-minute demo. Please send a 3-minute demo. And the demo can also be recorded on a mobile phone, because we know that, we're talking to Kenyans across the 47 counties, right? And we want everybody to be included. So we don't want to leave anybody outside.
Yes.
All group performances must be limited to only 5 people. So you don't have more than 5 people. And they must adhere and observe all the measures, right, that have been put in place by the Ministry of Health.
Yeah.
I think all in all, we expect to target over 20,000 artists, right? And going by the Bureau of Standards, each artist would impact 3.9 persons.
Nice. Yes.
And so that brings the number to over 80,000 people. So that's the group that we're really looking at. But look, if you are not in distress, because we have seen a lot of people talk about the package and they don't need that money. There are others that actually need this money. Or, the DJs who used to perform at gigs, right? And who can't do that anymore.
I'm so sorry.
I'm talking about the DJ that's behind you as well.
Oh, the DJ, DJ E. Now, I want to talk about, maybe make it clear about, is there any due diligence that will be conducted to ensure that the artists who have signed up for this are actually in need?
Absolutely. I think we'll do that because, you see, we have departments in government that actually deal with these artists on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
And I think you talked about those that can access the funding. So we have the Department of Culture, the Ministry of Department of Culture. We have the Permanent Presidential Music Commission. It deals with musicians all the time, and it knows all those that are in need and that, come for capacity building and for support to the Permanent Presidential Music Commission. We have the National Museums of Kenya that also deals with artists, right, including visual artists, right? We have the Kenya Cultural Center that deals with actors, right? We also have the Film Commission of Kenya, that deals with artists. So basically, I mean, we have departments that were established to deal on a day-to-day basis, with all the categories of actors. And so we have databases in the ministry, as well as in other ministries that deal with the youth, right? Like ICT, for instance. So we know who we will be targeting. We also have a panel of professional artists who is looking at the work that is being presented to, as I said, for quality assurance, right?
Yes.
And to just look at the standard of the work that's being presented.
All right. Now, I think for many people, what happened was initially the misconception was the 100 million was taken out from, another project or work that was considered a priority at this time during the pandemic, and so the artists did not need the money. They, we don't need that entertainment as we do, PPE kits. So there was that misconception because the money was collected from royalties. So maybe you can expound some more and explain it to those who didn't quite get it.
No. Well, first of all, this money is not collected from royalties. Right? It's not collected from royalties. The money that's collected from royalties is the 200 million that is with Kekobo in the Ministry of ICT.
Yes.
Yeah? That's the 200 million. That is supposed to be paid, and it's money that is earned. It's been earned by this musician, right, on works that have already been produced and consumed. Right? The 100 million is a stimulus package announced by His Excellency the President to cushion artists during this time of the pandemic, and it is targeted. It's targeted to artists in distress, those that cannot afford their basic needs. Yeah. So there's a huge difference between the two. This is a one-off. That's to cushion them. The 200 million, right, is a monthly, as long as they're performing and producing, obviously. It's a monthly package that exists for musicians. Yeah. So there's a clear difference. The 200 million goes to Kekobo and the ICT Ministry. The 100 million is drawn from the sports fund, right? So it's public resources. They're not earned. This is not money that's earned. This is money that's part of public resources. It's from the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund.
Yes.
Right? So I think if it can't be clear, I don't think it can ever be clearer than that.
Yes.
Different packages, different pots of money, different objectives, right? Yeah. Completely separate.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no, I don't want any confusion over it, because of course I've had people say that, this money belongs to so and so, and this is how it should be distributed, and it should be given to.
So you have seen that.
That's not true. This money is from the Sports, Arts and Social Development Fund. It has requirements on how the money should be spent. It demands for accountability, transparency, and audit, right? Which is totally different from the money that is earned by a musician, right? Yeah. That belongs to them. That is their right. This one is, something that's given to them. It's a grant that's given to them by His Excellency the President through the Sports Fund.
Yeah.
I hope that it's clearer now than it has been before.
It's very, very clear. I hope now actually, you're right. It cannot get any clearer than how you've just explained it. I don't think it can. But it's so interesting you raised that, and you did say, there were some people who said maybe this, this should be the agency or the CMO that should be the one responsible of managing the funds. What's your take on that? I mean, most of them do grapple with accounting queries, but what do you take that? I mean, they have asked maybe if they could be responsible for the funds. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they can't be responsible for government resources. They have never been. So what would occasion giving them that responsibility? Secondly, we can't actually hold them accountable. We can't. How do we hold them accountable? They're not government officers, right? They're not government institutions. We have a way of holding ourselves accountable. Yeah, we don't know how to hold others accountable, right? So we cannot. That money will stay within government. It will be distributed through M-Pesa directly to the artists. It is not going to be given to anybody else to distribute. We also don't want anybody to claim overheads, so that less money goes to the artists than was promised by His Excellency the President, because I know how organizations work. They would need to pay salaries. They would need to pay some of their debt. They would need to look after, I mean, we don't want another layer of bureaucracy, if you know what I mean. The officers that are handling this money are paid by government, so they don't need any additional money, right? So we can assure the public that the 100 million will go directly to supporting the artists. Not a penny will go to overheads and to supporting the bureaucratic functions of an organization, right? That is separate from government.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, in the context of COVID, Madam CS, how do we reshape the creative economy for for resilience, you know, just for sustainability. You know, countries like South Africa and other parts of the continent have invested heavily in this industry, one that both DJE and myself work in. And thank you so much for the stimulus package, which, by the way, will go to assisting, you know, so many artists. But I want to talk about the future. What's that like?
Well, look, first of all, we're the first country on the continent that has offered a stimulus package, right, for the creatives.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually need a lot of kudos. We need to appreciate His Excellency the President, who came up, you know, with the idea of giving a stimulus package to the creatives. It's not happened anywhere else. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of calls from my counterparts in different parts of the continent, as well as outside the continent, just asking us how did we manage to get this money to support the creatives. So first of all, it's a really, really big first step. It's a precedent that we are setting. It's a standard we are setting for the rest of the continent and others beyond the continent. So, after saying that, I'll tell you this: that one of the things I think that all of us have learned, right, during this COVID period, is that we're going to be moving quite a bit of the work that we're doing, right, to the digital space. Yeah? And so we're hoping that as we invite creatives to take advantage of the stimulus package, we're also moving them into the digital space. We're creating platforms for them. We have the Culture TV, right, which is going to be an online space where artists can actually perform, right? So we're moving them into the digital space slowly so that they can perform both physically and digitally, right? So giving them an additional avenue, right, to be able to earn a livelihood. Okay? Yes. We're also thinking of so many other things. We are partnering with KEPSA. Mm-hmm. We are forming a task force to just look at the future of the creatives in our country. How do we add value? How do we create new markets for them? We've agreed with the Ministry of Trade, for instance, that all trade agreements will have provisions on market access for cultural goods, right? Which basically includes also our music. Okay, so we're going to create additional markets. We intend to see how we can actually get a facility to support artists, right? You have the Hever Fund, which is doing an amazing job, and that actually did a study. That study informed, you know, how we approached, right, the distribution of the money, how we have approached who we should target, because we realized after that study that only 39%, right, of practitioners are actually registered, with the organizations and associations that exist. 39%, which means 61% are actually not registered, and that led us, right, to offering a waiver on registration for anybody who wants to register with the Department of Culture that also registers, artists, right? There's a fee of 500. We have waived that fee for the next 3 months, and we hope that more will come on board so that we actually have good data, we have good statistics, and we know where these artists are, right? Yeah. We can actually support them exactly where they are. We can build capacity where they are, right? And we can create additional avenues for them to earn, a livelihood, right? By just knowing where they are, knowing how many they are, right? You can start planning for them. Yes. So that's some of the work that we intend to do.
All right. Okay. Well, you seem like you have got your plate full. Excuse me, Madam CS. But as we come to the end of the interview, how can people get more information about the stimulus package? Where do they go so that they can register, they can sign up, and they can start, benefiting from it?
There was a press release that was unveiled today. Yes. Which basically indicates exactly what should be done. All right. I am not going to unpack that the press release that was out today. I expect everybody to do a bit of work. All right. Right. So go onto the website. There are pages that have been created for the different categories of artists. Right. Register there. Provide all the information that is required. The panel of creatives will look at it, right? And then we move from there.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. When I look at it, it looks like it's Elite TV. It's not. It's it's NTV. Thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying your Ramadan. Right now, everyone is working from home. How has that adjustment been like? Have you settled in now on the whole working from home?
Well, we do both. We do both. So
Oh, okay.
yes,
So a bit of the
I enjoy
opposite.
that as much as possible.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time and talking to us, Madam CS. I really, really do appreciate you for doing that. And once again, all the very best with the stimulus package, assisting all of those artists, of course, with the ripple effect of assisting thousands of their family members, which is just incredible. Thank you so very much, CS Amina Mohammed, aka my mom. In case you didn't know, now you know. On the show tonight. All right, so we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more. You're watching The Trend.